Good evening, everybody, and welcome to day 26 of the 90-day video challenge from Broken to Beautifully Blended. It is good to be with you this evening. We've had another excellent day. Got a little rest in, or at least I did today. Mowed a neighbor's yard. April went to a baby shower, right?
Well, it was a baby sprinkle.
What's the difference?
Okay, we'll talk about it now then. So I have never been to a baby sprinkle before, but it is where there is already older siblings, and they've already got most of the things that they need, but just need some little things like diapers because those are expensive.
So it's
a sprinkle instead of a shower.
Interesting.
Yeah. First time I've ever been to one.
It's the same thing. It's just less stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So she went to that, went and celebrated some friends of ours that are having their second child at any time now. So it was fun. I'm sure they had a great time. Mm-hmm. Felt sorry for my buddy. He had to show up at the end to put everything in the car.
Yeah. And he brought the little girl, Everly. So
anyway, we had a good church service this morning. We talked about sticking points. He was talking about sticking points in our lives, whether it's our Christian faith or our professional life even. I mean, just those sticking points. Talked about how Moses had certain aspects of his life where he got stuck, but God used different avenues, I guess would be the right word, to help get him past some of those. One of the examples was the staff that Moses carried with him. Whenever God was talking to Moses at the burning bush, and Moses was sort of like, yeah, I'm really not cut out for this. You better find somebody else. And God told him to throw the staff down, and it became a snake, and then he picked it up, and it went back to a staff. Well, he had to get past the thought of, this is just a stick. Mm-hmm. He had to extend it and throw it down. He had to make an action in order to move past the point that he was at. But we were talking about how you can get into a sticking point. Now, what did he say a sticking point was?
Be more specific.
Well, he gave a definition. It was in your notes.
Okay.
Why did you put your notes away?
Well, they go to sleep, A sticking point is the moment that your mood doesn't meet your mission and you have to push through.
So that's pretty common in marriage, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can promise you that at some point in the next 24 hours, my mood won't meet my mission where our marriage is concerned. Mm-hmm. So we often face these points where our reality doesn't meet the expectation. Now, we talked about expectations a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And how expectations are good, but they can also be crippling whenever you don't allow them to adjust to your situation. So tell us a little bit about what you feel like some sticking points may have been or are. You talked earlier about second marriage specifically.
Yeah, so in this, also in my notes, it's have you ever been stuck in a memory or stuck in a pattern? And I think that that's where it really comes into play in blended families, because we have certain expectations still from how we were raised in our first marriage. We had expectations. We are still carrying those expectations if something hasn't got us unstuck from that. Mm-hmm. And those expectations or those patterns led to a result that we didn't want. And so we continue to do it just because it's a habit. And then we see it show up in our second marriage, or if you're in your third or your fourth or your fifth or your sixth marriage, you see that pattern showing up again and again, and you don't know how to get unstuck. And that is a great time to dive into the Word. And one of the things that I was going to say about with Moses is Moses had to be in enough relationship with God that whenever God said throw the stick down, that he obeyed. And whenever he threw it down, one of the things that Pastor Stephen said was, I'm sure that he probably ran away from it because it turned into a snake. And nobody wants to just stand there as a snake is there on the ground. And then he had to have enough faith and enough courage to pick it back up whenever God said, pick it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you get unstuck, is by doing the next thing that God told you to do. And if you don't know what it is, the next thing, go back and do the last thing that you heard him say.
Mm-hmm. And then it's the reason that we call things, or we often, well, that's not necessarily true. What we often say is, I'm stuck in this situation. So a lot of times in our marriages, especially when things aren't going well, that is the term that a lot of people use. And it's like, I feel like I'm stuck here. I feel like I'm stuck in this situation. I'm stuck with this person. And we call it stuck because it wasn't on our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the analogy of being stuck in Chicago because of a flight delay. And he said, the thing of it is we love Chicago. And we've made trips to Chicago specifically, but at this particular moment in time, it wasn't on our schedule. So we were stuck there. How often in our marriages do we get stuck because something is not on our schedule? Our spouse's attitude is not quite what we want it to be whenever we are in a certain mood. So maybe you come home from work and you've had a good day, and your spouse has had a rough day, and that thing doesn't come together. Whenever you come in happy and they're frustrated and it's just sort of a clash, it's not on your schedule. And if that continues over any given period of time, you can certainly feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can. And one of the points that he made at the very end is you can't control other people or future events. And that can make you feel stuck as well, because that other person may be doing something over and over and over again that you're like, if I could just change them, how many times have we said that? If I could just get them to do something different, or if this could line up so that this would happen on my schedule, then I wouldn't be stuck anymore.
Yeah.
So,
it's hard to have conversations about marriage, because it is a difficult thing. It is a difficult time, a difficult situation sometimes. And everybody wants to fix something else. But ultimately, we have to be willing to look at ourselves and evaluate honestly where we're at in the situation. What is it that I'm bringing to this situation that helps create the tension or the blow-ups or whatever the case may be? Because to get unstuck, we have to be willing to make a move.
yeah. Well, and I will add too, you said that a lot of times that it is, it can be frustrating. And that to me implied that maybe there's some marriages that there's not ever any issues. And we went back, last December, and we talked with Kim Kimberling, and he has awesomemarriage.com. He also has a YouTube channel, and he devotes it to marriage. And he is a marriage therapist. He is a doctor, and he did our premarital counseling, and he talked through what it is that we're doing here with you guys, because he has a huge base of people that are in blended families. And he asked us about our fights and what does that look like. And one of the things that he said is, I know how healthy a relationship is by the way that they can talk about their arguments or their disagreements or their fights, because if somebody says we don't fight, then you're not really in a relationship. Whenever you get close and you've let somebody in, you're going to have friction. You're going to have fights. You're going to get stuck on something that you need help to get over, which is where we were in 2014. And I couldn't control Rockford. I couldn't control future events. He couldn't control me. He couldn't control future events. all he could control was what he did, and all I could control was what I did, and we both gave it to God, and he was able to get us unstuck.
So whenever you get done watching this, don't turn around and go, oh, well, my spouse really needs to see this. Because a lot of times in church, whenever we start talking about relationships, the pastor will always say, now look straight ahead. So let me encourage you, look straight ahead. Take some time to evaluate what you're bringing into each situation. And then spend some time praying about how God can help you have the courage to be different the next time it comes up. That might mean that you sort of bite your tongue and say, I'm sure you're right. Remember we talked about that. We were talking about that tonight at dinner with our friends, and they actually came up and they were using that this evening as we were having discussion at the table. And he was like, I'm sure you're right. And so I said, when I tried to use that, it didn't go so well. He's like, well,
It's probably your tone.
Probably your tone or your facial expression. So, and he's probably right. That's exactly what happened. So, we don't want you guys to be stuck. Being stuck is a miserable place. So let me encourage you that if you feel stuck, reach out to somebody that's close to you, a close friend, a close confidant, somebody that can really speak into your life. If you don't have anybody, then make sure you drop us a comment. We'll get in touch with you one way or another, and we can help get you in touch with somebody that can speak into your marriage, probably on a different level than we can. We can help point you towards some counseling if you and your spouse are interested in doing some marital counseling together. But don't stay stuck. That's a tongue twister.
That is a tongue
Say
twister.
that 3 times fast.
No.
Come on.
Don't stay stuck.
3 times fast.
Don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck.
Don't stay stuck. So it was a good message. Gives us all something to think about. Gives us all something to work towards as we move forward. And so that's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be stuck.
Nope.
All right. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, day 27.
That will be 30%.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I'll have to get out my fingers and my toes to make that calculation work out. So anyway, see you on day 27. Have a great evening.